welcome back, guys. So, there's so much to cover. I'm basically starting from not even where I want to be right now. Alright, so I'm using this Tucker Carlson deplatforming article to pair it with this nightclub shooting. Sorry, it's taking a while. So, this is what I wanted to talk about initially in the beginning, but so much kept flowing through, so I had to eventually keep editing. You know, I'd be working, and there'd just be new shit just in the world happening. It's so annoying. Alright. I feel like my procrastination has almost been disrespectful towards my husband, at least personally to me, because this whole anti-trans shit is actually coming down hard. But there is hope, and I don't want to be black pilled. I don't want to be too hopeful. I don't want to sound naive. Anyways, all right. So this is one of the first masks off, in my opinion, that America sort of took off in terms of stochastic terror in the form of racial bigotry, as opposed to this article, which I paired it with, which is LGBT discrimination. Alright, sorry, I don't know who's listening to this ramble. Anyways, the Stop Hate for Profit Coalition calls on technology companies to deplatform Tucker Carlson and other repeat perpetrators spreading the Great Replacement theory because of their significant role mainstreaming ideologies that normalize hate, foment fear, and buoy extremists. We also call on them to enforce their hate speech policies against the Great Replacement theory and white supremacy more broadly. The consequences of allowing such content to run unfettered on social media platforms have been devastating. These racist and anti Semitic ideologies posit a toxic, overarching conspiracy that strikes at the heart of faith in the United States as workable democracy founded on fair, free, and accessible elections. Instead, they accuse Jews, quote, global elites, end quote, democratic leaders, and others of using democratic institutions and processes to eliminate white Christian Americans, or what Tucker Carlson calls legacy Americans. I would actually love if people had used legacy Americans against, or used it as a dog whistle against white supremacy, but it wasn't popular and nobody really thought about that. But legacy Americans, this does seem like you know what people would say when they say that. Anyways, thus providing the justification and incitement for undermining elections at any cost and for political violence. The mainstreaming of this conspiracy serves as an accelerant to the erosion of our democracy, political divisiveness, increased toxicity online, and decreased faith in public institutions. The key promoter of extremist Great Replacement theory is Tucker Carlson, who pushes this conspiracy theory through his immensely popular show on Fox. He has also amassed a sizable audience on social media with 5.2 million followers on Twitter, nearly 5 million on Facebook, and 1.8 million on Instagram. As early as 2021, white supremacists were praising Carlson's promotion of the Great Replacement theory, the racist anti-Semitic, and xenophobic conspiracy that posits that white Americans are at risk of being disenfranchised by non-white immigrants, sometimes described euphemistically by Carlson as demographic change or replacing the population. He has elevated the conspiracy theory that Democrats are plotting to replace legacy American voters with immigrants in more than 400 episodes of his show and discussed the falling of white birth rate and shifting gender roles, another key component of the conspiracy, in over 200 episodes. I bet you Tucker Carlson has read and has heard of the birth dearth. And even though the white birth rate is a choice for women to wait to have a child or if they don't want a child, but even though this is a scree against minorities, if you paid attention a little bit to my readings of the birth dearth, attacking minorities, attacking everything that would affect the birth rates is literally blaming white women, even though this is mostly racist. Anyways, racist towards minorities, but they act like the onus is on white women to procreate babies and keep up. But as I will read fewer to you guys, it'll become more clear um, that their fear is imminent. Anyways, we believe that words matter and that this kind of rhetoric fuels rampant hate and emboldens extremists. Such hate-filled and noxious language leads, to our opinion, to the normalization of such rhetoric, to the spreading of similar hate speech, and to people using this language as a justification for committing heinous acts of violence, including the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, and the mass murder in Christchurch targeting Muslim people, and targeting of Latin American people of El Paso, and now the racially motivated attack claiming the lives of black supermarket shoppers in Buffalo. This adoption of the Great Replacement Theory was clearly present in the Buffalo Shooters Manifesto, along with his hatred of black people, Jews, immigrants, and other people of color. So, I don't know if anyone else has caught this, but when people talk about the Jews and the conspiracy around that, it usually spreads outward to mean the Jews are bringing in all the minorities, and so the gays, the people of color, yada yada. This is a part of their conspiracy of the Jewish cabal. So I think the Jewish conspiracy model is the most devastating because, like, you may say that's discriminatory, black people get discriminated against too, but it's like it just seems like all the other discrimination methods are attached to the Jewish conspiracy. Anyways, freedom of speech is not the same as freedom of reach. We should not give those who promote extremism and conspiracy theories a free platform to amplify their inflammatory views. Repeatedly, we've seen the link between hate and offline violence, whereby users accuse and engage with content promoting hate and violence on platforms, especially those with minimal content moderation policies, and then sow their grievances through violent ends. Major mainstream platforms have explicit policies against hate speech, typically prohibiting hateful speech targeting protected groups. For most platforms, quote, protected groups means race, religion, nationality, sexuality, gender identity, age, disability, and so forth. Some distinguish between historically oppressed or marginalized groups, while others do not. But discussions of the Great Replacement Theory often go unchecked and on social media. Platforms need either to enforce existing policies by removing white supremacist content and ban users who promote it, or update their policies to include it. Below, we provide examples of content that researchers found that demonstrate the wide reach of replacement theory. It has been promoted by white supremacists and elected officials alike. We also summarize the major platforms' policies related to the theory and make recommendations for how companies can update their policies and improve their detection methods. That replacement theory has been normalized as appalling and should greatly worry us as a nation. And so this article sort of is a strategy guide, slightly, to how to deal with Tucker Carlson, as the article title suggests. I don't know. I just wanted to point that out there, just in case people are confused about me rambling and not sure what the topic was. Anyways, what platforms must do. When it comes to addressing white supremacists and extreme speech, platforms fall short in both policy and technology. Platforms don't recognize that white supremacist speech, even though it doesn't directly target someone, is hate speech. We call on platforms to remove content promoting hashtag Great Replacement Theory and ban those implying it. The theory is one of the most vicious and pervasive racist, anti-Semitic, and anti-democratic conspiracies today, with demonstrated appeal to mass shooters, yet repeat spreaders of the theory such as Tucker Carlson still remain in their perch on social media platforms. Tech companies must make clear that their policies prohibit the Great Replacement theory and deplatform perpetrators of this disinformation. Constantly apply content guidelines and policies at scale. Major platforms fail to target and remove large swaths of hateful content, as ADL's report cards show. Most mainstream social media platforms already have rules against hateful speech, images, and conduct, but policies are not consistently or transparently enforced. Large industries such as airline or automotive industries are not excused for neglecting safety when crashes happen or defects are found, even though they serve millions of consumers. Similar standards should apply to tech companies when they try to pin moderation failures on scale and it's too expensive or difficult to address them. Considering the online world is a completely different realm compared to the real world, um, there's not enough like social institutions that were put into place, kind of like the Bill of Rights and uh, the constitutions. Like, there's no constitutions, in my opinion, for the online world. So it is sort of like a almost anarchy. And as we have Elon Musk doing Twitter, which this article is doesn't even come close to that timeline yet. Okay, sorry, off topic. Okay, teach algorithms to distinguish white supremacist speech from general speech on social media. Automated moderation systems are not adequately trained to detect white supremacist speech to better recognize such speech on mainstream platforms. General language models can be trained using data from extremist sites. Researchers can scrape publicly accessible sites for Stormfront, NS88.com, or white nationalist publications for fine-tune more specific language models. Alright. Create tools to detect the specific features of white supremacist speech. White supremacist speech has distinct features that make it easily identifiable. It centers on discussions of race and white, appends the word white to many terms: white women, white children, white genocide, uses plural noun forms, quote, the Jews, or, quote, the blacks, and involves conspiracy theories. Platforms should invest more into creating, updating, and maintaining tools to stop white supremacist language. I think the sad thing is that it seems like the algorithms and the AI, it's so easy to program racist language and biases into them. So I don't really think we're even trying to make quote safe spaces with no white supremacy attached. I just think we're already in the trenches with what we want the AI to feel and think and its opinions on things. Um, yeah, all right. I don't know if that's ever happening though. Again, because our AIs are already racist to some level. All right. Um, all right. I don't want this to go on for too long, so I'm making this a part two.